The Power of Self-Control. A Stoic story about mastering yourself. Imagine two men standing at the same starting line. Both have dreams. Both have talent. Both want success. Both want freedom. But 20 years later, their lives look completely different. One man has built a life of purpose, strength, and achievement. The other remains trapped in frustration, regret, and unrealized potential. What created the difference? It wasn't luck. It wasn't intelligence. It wasn't opportunity. It was self-control. This is the story of Adrian, a man who discovered that the greatest power in the world is not the power to control others. It is the power to control yourself. When Adrian was young, he believed success came from talent. Whenever he saw successful people, he assumed they possessed something special. Something he lacked. A gift. An advantage. A secret. Years passed. He watched others move forward while he remained stuck. He started projects and abandoned them. He made plans and forgot them. He created goals and ignored them. Every failure hurt. Every disappointment weakened his confidence. Eventually, he began believing he was simply unlucky. One evening, after another wasted day, Adrian sat alone in his room. The silence felt heavy. Outside, the city was alive. Inside, his mind was filled with frustration. He looked at his reflection in the window. For the first time, he asked himself a difficult question. What if my problem isn't the world? The question made him uncomfortable. But deep down, he knew the answer. His biggest obstacle wasn't bad luck. His biggest obstacle wasn't other people. His biggest obstacle was himself. His lack of self-control. Every time he chose comfort over growth. Every time he chose distraction over focus. Every time he chose excuses over responsibility. He was weakening his future. That realization changed everything. The next morning, Adrian decided to take control. Not of the world. Of himself. His alarm rang before sunrise. Immediately the familiar battle began. Stay in bed. Sleep longer. Start tomorrow. Nobody will know. The voice sounded convincing. It always did. But this time Adrian recognized something. That voice had stolen years of his life. Every excuse had a cost. Every delay had a consequence. Every act of weakness had slowly built the prison he lived in. For the first time, he refused to listen. He got out of bed. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't exciting. But it was powerful. Because self-control begins with small victories. That morning he went for a run. The streets were empty. The air was cold. His body resisted every step. His lungs burned. His legs ached. Several times he wanted to quit. But another voice appeared. A stronger voice. A calmer voice. The voice of discipline. Keep going. One more step. Then another. Then another. When he finally returned home, exhausted and sweating, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Respect for himself. Not because he was successful. Not because he had achieved greatness. Because he had kept a promise. The days that followed were difficult. Every day became a battle. Not against other people. Against himself. Every temptation tested him. Every distraction challenged him. Every excuse tried to pull him backward. Slowly, he began understanding a Stoic truth. The strongest chains are invisible. Most people are not imprisoned by walls. They are imprisoned by impulses. They are imprisoned by habits. They are imprisoned by emotions they refuse to control. And the key to freedom is self-control. Months passed. The changes became noticeable. His body grew stronger. His mind became sharper. His confidence increased. Friends started asking questions. What changed? What's your secret? Adrian smiled. There was no secret. Only discipline. Only consistency. Only self-control. One afternoon, while walking through the city, Adrian met an old philosopher sitting quietly on a bench. The old man seemed calm. Completely calm. The kind of calm that cannot be purchased. The kind of calm that comes from wisdom. Adrian sat beside him. For several minutes neither spoke. Then the old man asked, "What do you want most in life?" Adrian thought carefully. "Freedom." The old man nodded. "Then learn self-control." Adrian frowned. "What do those have to do with each other?" The old man smiled. "Everything." He pointed toward a crowded street. "Look around." People rushed in every direction. Some looked stressed. Some looked angry. Some looked distracted. Some looked exhausted. The old man continued. "Most people think freedom means doing whatever they want." He paused. "But if you cannot control your desires, your emotions, and your impulses, you are not free." Those words stayed with Adrian. For weeks he thought about them. Eventually he understood. A person controlled by anger is not free. A person controlled by fear is not free. A person controlled by laziness is not free. A person controlled by comfort is not free. Freedom belongs to the person who masters himself. That realization transformed the way Adrian viewed life. He stopped chasing comfort. He started chasing growth. He stopped avoiding difficulty. He started embracing challenges. He stopped asking for easier circumstances. He started building a stronger character. Then life tested him. A major opportunity appeared. The opportunity he had been waiting for. Months of preparation led to this moment. Everything depended on his performance. The pressure was enormous. Fear appeared immediately. What if you fail? What if you embarrass yourself? What if you're not good enough? Years earlier those thoughts would have controlled him. But now he understood something. Self-control is not the absence of fear. Self-control is acting despite fear. So he moved forward. He focused. He prepared. He gave everything he had. And he succeeded. Not because he was fearless. Because he was disciplined. As the years passed, Adrian continued growing. But life was not finished teaching him. A financial setback arrived. Then another. Relationships ended. Plans collapsed. Unexpected problems appeared. For a while, it seemed as though life was testing every lesson he had learned. Yet something remarkable happened. He remained calm. Not perfectly calm. Not emotionless. But composed. The Stoics never taught people to eliminate emotions. They taught people to master them. And that is exactly what Adrian had learned. One evening, after a particularly difficult day, he sat alone watching the sunset. The sky glowed gold and orange. The world seemed peaceful. For a moment, he reflected on his journey. Years earlier he had been weak. Not physically. Mentally. Emotionally. Spiritually. Every challenge had overwhelmed him. Every setback had defeated him. Every obstacle had stopped him. Now things were different. The obstacles still existed. But he had changed. And when you change, everything changes. The greatest victory of his life was not money. It was not status. It was not recognition. It was self-mastery. Knowing he could trust himself. Knowing he could remain calm under pressure. Knowing he could continue moving forward regardless of circumstances. That is true power. Years later, younger people began seeking his advice. Many expected complicated answers. Many wanted shortcuts. Instead, Adrian shared one simple truth. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your self-control. Some understood immediately. Others ignored the lesson. But those who applied it transformed their lives. Because self-control affects everything. Your health. Your finances. Your relationships. Your habits. Your future. Every area of life improves when self-control improves. As Adrian grew older, he realized something profound. The world spends enormous energy trying to control external things. People want to control markets. They want to control other people. They want to control circumstances. But the Stoics understood a deeper truth. The only thing truly under your control is yourself. And that is enough. Because once you master yourself, you become difficult to defeat, difficult to distract, difficult to discourage, difficult to break. That is the power of self-control. It turns ordinary people into extraordinary individuals. It turns fear into courage. It turns weakness into strength. It turns chaos into clarity. It turns potential into achievement. And it begins with a single decision. A decision available to you right now. The decision to stop being controlled by impulses. The decision to stop obeying excuses. The decision to stop surrendering to comfort. The decision to master yourself. Because every great life is built the same way. One disciplined choice at a time. One controlled reaction at a time. One victory over yourself at a time. The power of self-control is not a talent. It is a practice. A daily practice. A lifelong practice. And for those willing to embrace it, the rewards are extraordinary. Strength. Freedom. Confidence. Peace. Success. And a life built on purpose rather than impulse. So the next time you face temptation, remember Adrian. The next time fear appears, remember Adrian. The next time comfort calls your name, remember Adrian. And remember this timeless Stoic truth. The man who conquers others is strong. The man who conquers himself is powerful. That is the power of self-control. And that power can change your life forever. This script is designed for a long-form Stoicism video and can be narrated slowly with cinematic visuals, music, and pauses for strong audience retention. The Power of Self-Control. Part 2, The Battle for the Mind. Years had passed since Adrian discovered the power of self-control. His life had changed in ways he never imagined. He was stronger, more disciplined, more confident, more focused. But there was one lesson he had not yet fully learned. The battle for self-control never ends. Many people believe that once they become disciplined, life becomes easy. The truth is different. Every new level of growth brings new challenges. Every victory introduces a new test. And every test asks the same question. Can you still control yourself? One autumn morning, Adrian received the biggest opportunity of his life. A respected company offered him a leadership position. The salary was excellent. The responsibilities were significant. The future looked promising. Friends congratulated him. Family celebrated. Everyone believed his hard work had finally paid off. But success brought something unexpected. Pressure. For the first time, dozens of people depended on his decisions. Every mistake mattered. Every choice carried consequences. Every day felt heavier than the last. Soon, stress began creeping into his life. His sleep suffered. His patience weakened. His focus started slipping. The old habits he thought he had defeated began whispering again. Skip today's workout. Take shortcuts. Avoid difficult conversations. You deserve an easy day. At first, the temptations seemed harmless. But Adrian understood something important. Small compromises become large failures. Every downfall begins with a tiny surrender. So he became vigilant. Every morning he reminded himself of a simple Stoic principle. Control yourself before attempting to control anything else. That reminder became his anchor. Weeks turned into months. The pressure continued increasing. Then came a crisis. A major project failed unexpectedly. Clients were unhappy. Employees were frustrated. Leaders demanded answers. Suddenly, all eyes turned toward Adrian. The room was filled with tension. People wanted someone to blame. Some pointed fingers. Others became emotional. The atmosphere felt chaotic. For a brief moment, Adrian felt anger rising inside him. His heart raced. His mind filled with frustration. He wanted to react. He wanted to defend himself. He wanted to fight. But then he remembered something he had learned years earlier. You cannot control the situation. You can control your response. Instead of reacting emotionally, he remained silent. He listened. He observed. He thought carefully. Then he spoke calmly. His composure surprised everyone. While others lost control, he maintained control. While others focused on blame, he focused on solutions. While others panicked, he remained steady. That day taught him one of the greatest lessons of his life. Self-control is most valuable when emotions are strongest. Anyone can remain calm during peaceful moments. The true test comes during storms. And storms reveal character. Months later, another challenge arrived. This time it was personal. Someone close to Adrian betrayed his trust. The betrayal was painful, unexpected, deeply disappointing. For weeks, anger followed him everywhere. Every morning, every evening, every quiet moment. His mind replayed the event repeatedly. The desire for revenge grew stronger. The desire to prove himself grew louder. But the Stoics taught a difficult truth. Holding on to anger gives power to the person who hurt you. The more Adrian thought about this lesson, the more he understood. His anger was hurting him more than the betrayal itself. It was stealing his peace, stealing his focus, stealing his energy. One evening he sat alone by a lake. The water was perfectly still. As he stared at his reflection, he realized something. The person who betrayed him no longer controlled his life. But his anger still did. And that meant he was not truly free. That night, Adrian made a decision. He chose peace. Not because the betrayal was acceptable. Not because it didn't matter. But because his future mattered more. Forgiveness became another form of self-control. The ability to release what no longer serves you. The ability to move forward without carrying unnecessary weight. The ability to protect your peace. As the years continued, Adrian's reputation grew. People respected him. People admired him. People saw him as successful. Yet they misunderstood something. They saw the results. They did not see the battles. The daily battles. The invisible battles. The battles nobody applauds. Every day Adrian still fought temptation. Every day he still fought laziness. Every day he still fought distraction. The difference was that he had learned how to win. One choice at a time. One decision at a time. One disciplined action at a time. Then came the greatest challenge of all. His father became seriously ill. The news struck him like lightning. Suddenly, success seemed unimportant. Money seemed unimportant. Even ambition seemed unimportant. All that mattered was family. For months Adrian divided his time between work and caring for his father. The emotional burden was enormous. Many nights he barely slept. Many days he felt exhausted. Some days he wanted to quit everything. Yet this season revealed another level of self-control. He learned that strength is not always loud. Sometimes strength is quiet. Sometimes strength is simply showing up when life is difficult. Sometimes strength is continuing when you feel empty. Sometimes strength is carrying responsibility without complaint. Day after day he continued. Not perfectly. Not effortlessly. But faithfully. The experience changed him forever. He became more patient. More compassionate. More grateful. More aware of life's fragility. One evening, while sitting beside his father's bed, he remembered a quote from the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius. "You have power over your mind, not outside events." For years Adrian had admired those words. Now he truly understood them. Life would always contain uncertainty. Loss. Pain. Disappointment. Change. No amount of planning could eliminate those realities. But self-control allowed him to face them with dignity. That realization brought him peace. Years later, Adrian stood on a hill overlooking the city where his journey began. The same city. The same streets. The same skyline. But a completely different man. He thought about the young version of himself. The version controlled by impulses. The version ruled by excuses. The version trapped by emotions. That person felt distant now. Not because life had become perfect. Because he had become stronger. As the sun began setting, Adrian reflected on the true meaning of self-control. Most people think self-control is about resisting temptation. And it is. But it is much more than that. Self-control is controlling your reactions, controlling your thoughts, controlling your emotions, controlling your habits, controlling your focus, controlling your direction. It is the foundation upon which every great life is built. Without self-control, talent is wasted. Without self-control, opportunity is missed. Without self-control, potential remains unrealized. But with self-control, ordinary people achieve extraordinary things. As darkness slowly covered the city, Adrian smiled. Because he finally understood the secret that changes lives. The strongest person in the room is not the loudest, not the richest, not the most famous. The strongest person is the one who has mastered himself. The one who remains calm under pressure. The one who acts despite fear. The one who chooses discipline over comfort. The one who controls his mind instead of allowing his mind to control him. That is true power. That is lasting power. That is the power of self-control. And for those willing to develop it, there is almost no limit to what they can become. Because once you conquer yourself, the world becomes a very different place. And that is where true freedom begins. This part 2 naturally sets up part 3, The King's Mind, where Adrian faces his greatest test yet and discovers the highest level of Stoic self-mastery. The Power of Self-Control, Part 3, The Final Test. For years, Ethan had been training himself to master his mind. He had learned discipline. He had conquered laziness. He had stopped reacting to every emotion that came his way. But life had one more lesson to teach him. One day, Ethan received terrible news. The company where he had worked for 10 years was shutting down. In a single moment, everything changed. His income disappeared. His plans collapsed. Fear knocked loudly on the door of his mind. That evening, he sat alone in his apartment. His thoughts raced. What will I do now? How will I survive? What if I fail? The old Ethan would have panicked. The old Ethan would have complained. The old Ethan would have blamed the world. But this Ethan had spent years building self-control. So he sat quietly. He remembered a lesson from the ancient Stoics. You cannot control what happens to you. You can only control how you respond. The next morning, while many former coworkers spent their time complaining online, Ethan opened a notebook. He wrote one question. What can I control today? That question changed everything. He could control his effort. He could control his attitude. He could control his actions. So he got to work. Every morning he woke up before sunrise. Every day he learned new skills. Every day he applied for opportunities. Every day he improved himself. Weeks turned into months. The results were slow. Sometimes he felt discouraged. Sometimes he wanted to quit. But self-control is not about feeling motivated. Self-control is about doing what must be done even when motivation disappears. One rainy afternoon, Ethan was walking home after another rejected job application. His phone buzzed. Another rejection. He stopped and stared at the screen. His heart sank. For a moment, anger rose inside him. He wanted to throw the phone. He wanted to scream. He wanted to give up. But then he remembered something his mentor once told him. Your greatest power is found in the moment between stimulus and response. Ethan closed his eyes. He took a deep breath. Instead of reacting, he chose patience. Instead of quitting, he chose persistence. Instead of anger, he chose growth. That single decision became a turning point. Months later, a small business owner noticed Ethan's determination and offered him an opportunity. The position wasn't glamorous. The pay wasn't impressive. Many people would have rejected it. But Ethan understood something important. Pride destroys opportunities. Self-control embraces them. So he accepted. He worked harder than anyone else. He arrived early. He left late. He solved problems. He stayed disciplined. Year after year, he continued growing. Eventually, he became a leader in the company. People admired his success. They called him lucky. But they never saw the battles behind the scenes. They never saw the mornings he wanted to stay in bed. They never saw the temptations he resisted. They never saw the emotions he controlled. They only saw the results. One day, a young employee approached Ethan. "How did you become so successful?" he asked. Ethan smiled. The young man expected a secret strategy. Instead, Ethan shared a simple truth. Success is not built in moments of comfort. It is built in moments of self-control. The young employee looked confused. Ethan continued. Everyday life gives you two choices. You can follow your feelings. Or you can follow your principles. Feelings change. Principles endure. Years later, Ethan became known not for his wealth, but for his wisdom. People came to him for advice. One evening, an ambitious young man asked him, "What is the greatest lesson you have learned?" Ethan looked toward the sunset. Then he answered, "The strongest person is not the one who defeats others. The strongest person is the one who defeats himself." Silence filled the air. Because deep down, everyone knew it was true. The greatest battles are not fought on battlefields. They are fought in the mind. Every day you battle distraction. Every day you battle fear. Every day you battle laziness. Every day you battle anger. Every day you battle doubt. And every time you choose discipline over comfort. Every time you choose patience over anger. Every time you choose action over excuses. You become stronger. Little by little. Day by day. Choice by choice. That is the true power of self-control. Not controlling the world. Not controlling other people. But controlling yourself. Because when you master yourself, you unlock a strength that no one can take away. A strength greater than talent. Greater than luck. Greater than circumstances. The power to remain calm in chaos. The power to stay focused when others quit. The power to keep moving forward when life becomes difficult. And that power can transform an ordinary person into an extraordinary one. So the next time life tests you, remember Ethan's lesson. Control your mind. Control your actions. Control your future. Because the person who masters self-control eventually masters their destiny. The End, Part 3.